Hey, welcome friends, here we are. I have no idea what this date is, 27th maybe. Oh, now so my computer needs code put in. It's the 26th, it's not the 27th. It's 26th of January here in New Zealand. It's 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Welcome, chat with Matt, half an hour to talk about whatever's going on. Whatever you guys want to know about, whatever's going to be of service. I am just opening my computer and finding out if there's any, I know there was something because I saw it last night, questions written in. So bear with me for a seckie. There I am live, so that's always good to know. Okay. The photo was me free diving with some, I don't know if you can see them on the little photo, but they are eagle rays. Amazing stingrays that have these circles of white all over their back. They spotted eagle rays, they're quite amazing. You can't obviously see them in that photo because they were very deep, as was I when that photo was taken. But anyway, Judith wrote in, hey Sister Emily, and whoever else just scrolled on by, which I wasn't seeing, maybe no one. Good mornings. Hey Jill. So anyway, Judith wrote in, how you guys going anyway? We good? It's pretty intense right now. There's a lot of shifting energy, a lot of instability. So many people, so many people I've been talking to lately are really finding an intensification of what's going on for them. It's good. It's good. It's not very comfortable, but it's good. I think a lot of stuff is in process. A lot of people are making a lot of progress despite the fact that they feel that they're not coping, feel that they're not succeeding, going backwards. But it's not the case. It's not the case. A lot of energy is coming up to shift. Anyway, I'm going to start with, hey Brother Glenn, I'm going to start with what Judith wrote in yesterday or last night. Hiya Matt, would love you to elaborate more in depth if possible the theory of attracting good, bad, sad, happy into our lives. Would be interested in your opinion, Judith. Okay, so this is a great question. Hey, Sister Sam, this is a great question because it comes down to this fundamental understanding, really, of what a situation is. Whether a situation is a good situation or a bad situation. And this idea that we can attract better situations into our life, right? That we're, through our willpower or our desires or even our clever, magical, spiritual practices, we can change the way the world is behaving around us and things get better, right? We start having lucky experiences. We start attracting favorable situations to our life, right? The universe starts conspiring for us. Verbology that I use and lots of other people use, this idea that, we change the world through our energy field, right? Our energy field is interacting with the world and changing the world, which is true to a degree. But the interesting thing is that the much, much easier thing to change that has a much more immediate, profound effect on how you are experiencing the world, right, is your attitude, your perspective, right? So when we talk about attracting a good, bad, or a sad, happy experience to ourselves, what are we really doing? We're just changing our perspective with which we view the world, because we know that as our perspective changes, our reality changes. So that doesn't mean that everyone's reality changes, it just means our reality changes. Hey, Sister Jane, our reality changes because we are viewing it through a different filter. We are viewing it from a different perspective. Relatively, things have changed for us because we have changed our mood, our vibration, right? As our vibration changes, the way that we measure the world changes. We get to choose whether something is good or something is bad based on a choice, right? Based on a reference point, based on a belief system. So it's not that we need to be a certain way to attract good things to us. we do our practices so that it's easier for us to view the world in a way that everything looks good, or everything, looks better at least. It's, again, got to be careful we don't get caught up in sort of this toxic positivity of sugarcoating everything and pretending, nothing needs improving or changing, right? Because plenty of things out there need improving and changing, but we can decide whether those things that need improving and changing, whether they are inherently good or bad, right? That's a choice we get to make. And then from that choice, we get to choose whether something is making us, as if something has this power over us, making us happy or sad. Happy or sad is a choice, right? It's not a choice that we can directly control, because basically emotions will arise. And this is the thing. We can be having a good experience, quote unquote, beneficial experience, and have sad arise within us. That doesn't mean we've attracted a bad situation, right? Hey, Sister Donna. It's not that we've attracted a bad situation. It's that the current vibration is triggering within us sadness to arise. Now, that could be for two main reasons. One, the situation could be reminding us of sadness that we've experienced, so that it's basically the situation we're experiencing is provoking or reinforcing sad feelings, because we've had similar situations before that felt like loss and are sad, right? So, or the other way that we quite often feel sadness or grief is that we're having a high vibrational experience that is lifting us in such a state of vibration that the grief, or at least some grief that we're carrying, can no longer stay hidden, and it arises to the surface to basically be purified. So we can either consciously align with sadness and feel sadness, or we can consciously align with happiness and then feel sadness anyway as it arises to be released. The point is not to use emotional feedback as some sort of measuring tool, whether you're getting the world right or whether you're being rewarded or punished, right? A lot of people feel that they're being punished when they feel sadness. A lot of people feel that something has gone wrong if they're feeling sadness, and it's just not the case. Not necessarily anyway. Of course, there are times when something has gone wrong, quote unquote, something is not feeling very beneficial at all, and you're feeling sadness because of it, right? Grief is you've just lost a close member of your family. Of course, you're going to feel sadness, especially, from your personality level that feels the grief of losing something that was important to you. That's entirely appropriate. And we're not here to diminish that experience at all and that reality. I'll read that in a sec, Sister Jill. Awesome, Joe. So, so it's, in my opinion, it's going to be beneficial to get out of this absoluteness of reality. This idea that, if I do certain things, I'm going to attract good things to me. Like it's, very mechanical. It's far more etheric than that. When you align yourself with a certain vibration, it has an influence over you. That influence over you changes how you perceive the world around you, and you start perceiving the world in a different way. And that could be that the world appears better, or it could be that the world appears worse. Appears. But, that's all the world is a perspective based on your reality, on your vantage point, on your relativity. Yeah, it is crazy times, Brother Paul. Division and ridicule for asking questions. It's a healing process, right? We come back to this idea. To get out of the idea that the world is supposed to be a certain way, and to allow for all of these, what might appear as ridiculous or crazy situations, to be part of a healing process. And it's not easy. So I'm just going to read on because Sam wrote in response to Judith's initial question, which was, can you talk more in depth around the theory of attracting good, bad, sad, happy into our lives? Hopefully I've helped a little bit with that, Judith, that you don't have to get too contracted around the absoluteness of it and really allow yourself to do practices, right, that help you maintain a mindset that helps you then perceive the world in a way that feels more supportive to you, whether that's good or whether that's happy. We have to be willing to hold space for other emotions to come in, and that it's not a failing of ours or a wrongness or a punishment when they do, because it's very, very common that as we align with a more expansive viewpoint on the world and feel inherently more happy and more purposeful and more supported by the world, that all sorts of denser, darker vibrations arise as part of the releasing process. So that's not a bad thing. It's actually a normal part of the process. Sorry, I'm not sitting very comfortably on my Swiss ball here. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. I'm going to read on to what Sam wrote and see if I can hallucinate more likely. No, I'm sitting very low in the screen. I hate to be just the head on the stick, You see so many live streams of people down here with all of this room above their head. It's doesn't sit well with me as a ex-film technician. Anywho's, so Sam wrote in, I was just washing up thinking about exactly this. I was thinking about how we attract people that mirror aspects of ourselves. I went on to thinking about how opposites attract and how people also draw people into their lives who are polar opposites of us, providing us with yet another opportunity to grow past the resistance we experience when we interact with such people, giving us a great opportunity to really own who we be. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't know if you were talking to me or to Judith, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to hear some of my thoughts on it anyway. So, this idea of opposites attracting is a very, very basic one. And I will get back. Maybe I should try and read what's here on the screen before I go to this, because I've sort of been missing everything that's current. Just click on here. Put that on silent. Come on, show me the... Oh, you bugger, you're not going to show me the comments. Okay, I'll do here. Okay, so Jill wrote, mega intense attacks from authority figures last few days, but had a mega day on Sunday studying common natural law. And it's put the notion of personal sovereignty into practical applications of living, such as when the bank phones to ask me about the house sale progress for the umpteenth time, each time asking to confirm that I'm living in the mortgage property. The question confused me, but now I realise it was a question for me to say yes, to allow them to have authority over me. In contract law, I am guided to reply, I live in my sovereign body. Exactly. Awesome. So, yeah. So I'll speak quickly to that as well. So this isn't helping. Let's close that down because I couldn't actually see my comments there. And Jill said, I switched off my fear just like that. And today the house sale is moving on apace. Yay. Awesome. So, yeah, sovereignty. We are all sovereign beings, and yet we are all subject to contract law to a degree, as we have agreed to live in our societies. We do still have choice, and we get to redefine our choices in every moment of every day, what we choose to align with, whether we choose to align with the notion of being a citizen and, being ruled over by the law of the land and the government of the day, or whether we choose to keep recognizing our true sovereignty and walk in this world as a free being. Now, sometimes it's difficult because we've been entrapped into the practicalities, but energetically is where it all has to start. So as we choose to energetically align with our sovereignty and align with the confidence in being sovereign and expressing ourselves from a space of sovereignty, so that we cease to keep being intimidated by the authorities, which is going to get, more and more intense over the next few weeks, months, potentially years. I don't want to scare you and disillusion you, but this is not just going to disappear immediately. There's a fairly entrenched battle going on right now for your energy, and the dark beings are not about to give up easily, right? So, it's a game of chess, and it's progressing, and it's progressing well. And the point is for us all to recognize that we have the opportunity to keep practicing our sovereignty. This is not, you don't need to get stressed around this. This is not I have to get it right this time or else failure event. This is an ongoing evolution of humanity, souls waking up to their sovereign reality and breaking out of the spell of being, disempowered and entrapped in a system that has basically promised to look after us if we give away our free will, our free rights to obey their laws and to act in a way that they dictate. I'm not preaching anarchy right now. I am preaching internal freedom, right? Internal energetic freedom to be confident as yourself and then to make good decisions from that space, right? And it doesn't mean that we have to necessarily go around overtly breaking the laws for the sake of it to prove our sovereignty. We do not at all need to be doing that. But we do need to find an energetic freedom, strength, sovereignty, confidence, authentic confidence from within us, so that we can start actually acting from our intuitive guidance, from our heart, from love, and not so much acting from the programs running in our mental space about what we must do to stay good, right, and proper, and thus safe in the eyes of the law, which is not the law, as in God, common law, but, as legislation and all of these ridiculous rules and mandates and orders that Parliament are rushing through to try and control the population right now, as their narrative is falling apart and their last-ditch effort to basically enslave us is coming drastically to an end. And I know that sounds like a lot of conspiracy, but so be it. I feel like this, I'm slipping away with this. But anyway, trying to get through all the questions. Let's see. I think the next one was just from Christina, but I could be wrong. Christina wrote, I can read that down here. There's been a lot of sadness recently, and to be honest, I've almost enjoyed it. I've just let myself feel it and enjoy feeling it. Self-love in all moments, hopefully. Awesome, Christina. I love the fact that you can relax into acceptance of the sadness, and then even spin a positive experience around it, like the feeling of joy in that you are actually, for me, the actual ability to fully feel my emotions from a more neutral space is actually enjoyable. It actually feels very satisfying to allow myself to feel great sadness and to even cry without being overly self-judgmental or overly critical or overly contracted around the situation. It's to allow emotion to flow through as a process of releasing energy, of moving energy, of experiencing aspects of the past that I've carried for a long time that are now being released or disintegrated, or whatever we want to call that process, right? So it can be quite enjoyable to experience, denser vibrations when we understand that what we're feeling is what we are releasing, and we don't need to contract against it, and we don't need to fight back, and we don't need to make the situation wrong. We don't need to feel like a failure for having these experiences. We don't need to go, oh my God, when am I going to be over this? We can let go of that idea, and it doesn't matter when I'm going to be over this, I'm progressing. time really is irrelevant. I know we have time constraints. Our human body is going to fall to the floor one day, lifeless, and that will seem like an ending. But, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of that day, you know, another day begins. So, you know, we are much, much bigger than the human experience. And the more that we can recognize that and reinforce that through our, you know, internal experiences and our lucid moments, then the more relaxed we get, the more relaxed we become. And then we can start enjoying all aspects of life, the hard moments as well as the joyous moments. They all just become an expression of life, and thus they are joyful in nature, because that is our nature, to be joy, which is basically, joy is just the expression of love, and we are love. And so everything we do is an expression of love, and therefore joyful. Even the things that we, you know, our ego is buckling up against or doesn't want to do, right, is resistant to doing, we can still feel a soul level joy in having the opportunity to have that experience, right? So I know it starts to feel like you might be a little bit you know, deranged when you start identifying different aspects of yourself. But over time, there's a cohesiveness that arises, and we can easily accommodate different aspects of ourselves having contrarian experiences of the same situation, right? So we can hold space for aspects of our egoic self to be uncomfortable, while other aspects of our more expansive self can be very comfortable and enjoying the situation. Jill wrote, the bank are being bullies and menacing me with threats of possession orders and penalties, penalising me £4,000 for getting... I'll read that down here. Menacing me with threats, penalising me £4,000 for getting rid of my mortgage. Final money grab. When I got upset with them, my phone battery died mid-conversation and they got mad. They called police to check up on me as a vulnerable person. I informed the police on my doorstep that I was okay, but 3 weeks later I got a text from the hospital offering me a mental health review, referred by the police. Was feeling very threatened and judged, so guess that's what I'm letting go of again. Yeah, that's interesting, Jill, because, you know, you could see that as support, right? But interestingly, you saw it as a threat. So again, that comes down to your baseline, right? Whether you perceive that very situation where the police referred you to mental health and they sent you a text offering you some, you know, some help if you needed it, you saw that as a threat and a judgment upon yourself based on your history and how you've been programmed, whereas you could very well have seen that as a very caring act, right? Now, which one was it? You want to know which one was it. Did the police have your best interest in heart, or were they menacing you? Are they trying? It's up to you. External world you have no control over. It can be either supportive or detrimental. That doesn't change. It doesn't matter what their intent is. Everything comes back to how are you perceiving it, right? Because that's how the world changes. Because as soon as you start seeing those actions as actually supportive, right? Yeah, but you have to understand, Jill. So you said that they offered it on the doorstep and I said, no, thank you. So, but you have to understand that people who are having problems mentally will quite often say, no, thank you. And they do truly need it, right? This is the point. So the thing is you're feeling that they're going against you, but are they really? Right? And I'm not saying that I know whether they are or they aren't, but the point is you get to choose how you perceive this situation. And as you change your perception to the situation actually changes. And you go from being defensive and feeling that you're under attack to feeling supported and feeling that you're loved. And when you choose to start feeling that you are supported and being loved, guess what? Everything else you start perceiving seems to reinforce that. And you actually feel that you're living in a magical environment. The reality is, nothing changed other than your perspective to it. But your perspective is so powerful that it changes everything through your experience. Now, it's just an example. It's just an example, you know. And I know the banks are being quote unquote bullies at the moment. It's the same thing's happening here in New Zealand. There's a worldwide thing where banks are now harassing people over money, right? I know I've got several stories of people going to get loans who should easily get a loan, right? They've got plenty of, and the banks start picking apart their bank statements and questioning $40 expenditures, etc., etc. These are people who are very wealthy and have no problem paying back a mortgage and have done so many times. And basically, in the end, they basically say, well, fuck you, bloody mortgage, I'll go somewhere else, right? Because the banks are actually got something going on at the moment where they're trying to suppress people from the access to money, and they're trying to make life hard. Now, that's a reality that I've seen mirrored back to me many, many times. But do we need to feel threatened by that, or can we rise above it? Because as we choose to rise above it, they have no fight left, right? If we don't fight back, if we don't feel threatened by them, their threats become empty. When we choose to go, okay, I don't need your money. Okay, I don't need whatever, your services, they're the ones who lose, right? They've relied on our services for a long time. Now, many people will say, yes, please, but I need that mortgage. Yes, I need that money. And so it's an interesting battle. But the point is our energetic state of being, when we stand in confidence and don't choose to be threatened by these bullies who are afraid, right? The whole establishment at the moment is very afraid, Jill, because they're basically losing their power. And we know that when people who have had power start losing it, they start acting out in ways that are very ridiculous and intense and nasty, right? People start getting very nasty, desperate to reaffirm their power when it's obvious that they're losing it. We've seen this time and time again. We saw it as kids in the schoolyard. We've seen it, in politics and all sorts of business and everything, right? And that's happening now on a global level, on a very, very wide level, that they're losing their power and they're acting out and they're trying to grab back. Now, the point is, we have to rise above this play, this leela, this game, because if we enter into fighting back against them, if we enter into even judging them and making them wrong and holding these narratives in our head, we are basically feeding them. We are basically supporting them. Hey, Sister Susie. So the point is to get out of the judgment, to get out of the contraction, to get out of the frustration, to get out of the anger. Stop being angry with them. Yeah, you're going to feel anger, but allow yourself to feel anger because you're releasing anger. Don't align your anger with their doing the wrong thing, right? Because as soon as you do that, you are feeding them. They feed off anger and fear. They feed off hatred. They feed off pushback and fight. So the point is to stop it, right? To stop making their actions important. Laugh when these things happen. Make light of it, right? Make light of these situations, because that's exactly what we need to do as beings of light here on the planet, is to express light, to see what's going on and to bring an expansive viewpoint to it. We are witnessing their unraveling. We are witnessing our freedom being born right now. The opportunity for us to embrace a much more expansive experience here on the planet. It's messy right now, and it's easy to sink into the wrongness of what's happening because it's, threatening us. But we choose how threatened we feel by their actions. They're trying to threaten us, but threats are just threats, right? If we choose whether we're scared of their threats or not. Yeah, well, whether you make it humorous or not, that's the truth is, when people ask you, where do you live on the planet, and they ask you where do you originate from, you say from God, right? That's just standard response. When someone says, oh, where are you from? You say, well, I'm from God. Same as you. No, but where were you born? I said, well, which time? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I was born and where I'm from, right? They're trying to, again, play this game where they establish authority over you by identifying you in legal terms, which is, what's your birth date, what's your birth location, what's your full name, right? And you don't have to give them any of that information. You don't. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And the point is, they know that, but they will still try tactics to put you into the system. it's a game. It's a game. So the more that we can laugh when we're playing the game, just like we laugh when we're playing Monopoly. We don't get all shitty when someone, stings us because we've landed on their hotel in Monopoly, right? Well, maybe we do. But at the end of the day, we know it's a game, right? And we can laugh through the game. We end up in jail. We, don't get to pass go and get our 200 quid or whatever, right? It's a game. It's no different here. But the point is, I've got so many notifications going on. The point is that from the higher reality of who we truly be, this life and the situations that we're currently going through is just like a game of Monopoly. It's a game. It's a dream. It's not nearly as important as your poor little personality self gets stressed about thinking. It is. So relax. Manage your perspective of life, right? Choose to see that things are supportive. Choose to see that things are beneficial. Choose to see that things that are happening are quote unquote good for you, right? That's just the perspective that allows you to maintain a positive attitude to the world, which is not a sugarcoating thing, but it is allows you to relax into experiencing life. Awesome, Jill. I'm glad you're looking forward to your next call with the bank. Hopefully I've answered your question as well, Sam. I know I'm running out of time here and I'm running out of battery power and I have another call coming up soon, but that's okay. I can work that out. Opposites attract. I did want to speak a little bit about that. It's a delusion, right? There are no real opposites of us. Everything is far more, we are far more similar than we believe. The point is, we perceive people as being opposite because we perceive our vibration as being not so much attacked, but mirrored. It's true, like we have experiences where if we're full on wanting to give, right, because we've been trained or we've grown up with or we've been born with from other lifetimes, a perception that we're not good enough and the only way that we can be acceptable is by giving to other people, right? We earn our acceptance or our admiration or our appreciation through doing things for others, quite often in a sacrificial way. If we're in that situation, then more than likely we're going to find people that we can give to, right? Because we need it. We need to keep giving to people in order to feel safe in the world. So we attract someone, we choose someone in our life that is a taker, who's willing to take from us more than they give back, because that's what we want, because we don't want them to give back equally, because otherwise we wouldn't be accumulating goodie points, which then to our belief system allows us to stay safe and appreciated, right? We have to be giving more than we're receiving in order to balance the equation based on our inherent deficit that we believe that we have or are, right? Many of us have come with these programs and we find ourselves always wanting to give. Slowly over time, we get frustrated and we wake up to the fact that we're getting depleted because we keep giving to someone and they're not giving back to us, right? But that takes time to wake up to that. So, but it was a natural, that is a natural way that the universe, if you like, conspires to give us a situation where we wake up and we come to a choice point. You think, hey, I'm giving more than I'm receiving and I'm running out of energy. Something has to change. Of course, we immediately push it out and make the other person wrong for not giving back to us. Ultimately, they've given us the situation that's helped us awaken to the fact that we're giving more than we're receiving. We want to egoically make the outside world wrong for that instead of looking at ourselves and why we are choosing to create situations where we get to give more than we receive based on fulfilling a deep, lack of self-worth inside of us and the desire. So Christina, right? Aren't opposites also just highlighting within us what is hidden and the need to come into consciousness in order to be, I might say, released? Released. Exactly what I'm saying, Christina. So this is the point. These perceived opposites, or these situations that arise, are basically just giving us opportunities to keep growing. It's happening. It's not that there's some power sitting over the top trying to align all of these things and orchestrate them. This is very basic energy mechanics that's working on supply and demand, right? It's working on balancing the whole cosmos with very, you might call them elaborate equations, but in actual fact, it's very simple how everything is working. The complexity comes with how entangled it becomes, right? But the basic idea is very simple. If you have something to give, someone will come in to receive it. If you have a desire to receive something, someone will come in to give it. This is the point, right? To balance these energetic impulses. Anyway, my friends, the more that we keep externalizing our problems or our challenges, the more that the external world will exert its influence over us. If we keep fighting against the external world, if we keep doing battle and trying to outsmart the external world, we will continually find ourselves entrenched in that situation. It's like the activist mindset, you know, those who want to stand for a cause and fight for something, they keep creating the situation to fight for their cause, right? They're basically sustaining the badness that they're fighting against. We see this time and time again, right? So just be aware that how you're interacting with the world and this mental game of wanting to be right, of wanting to outsmart, of wanting to beat the perceived opposition, because the perceived opposition is not really opposing you. They're actually an aspect of God, Source, Divine, giving you the opportunity to grow into your most expansive self. They're not really here to oppress you. They're here to liberate you into your magnificent freedom. They're here to empower you to step up out of a deluded oppression that you've been under for many millennia, many thousands of years. So we could see the world as fighting against us. We can see the dark beings as our opposition, but ultimately they are working for us for the greater good of God's Source, Divine totality, and giving us the opportunity to step into our sovereign power. Because if they weren't doing what they're doing, we wouldn't be stepping up into our power. We would be complacent in our disconnection. So this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity. The more that you keep seeing them as an opposition and a fight and something that's trying to detract from your ability to live on the planet, the more that you're going to be entrapped in that game. The more that you step into the truth of who you be and operate in the world as authentically as possible in the moment without ascribing labels and judgments and playing little mental games with the rightness and the wrongness of what's going on, the more powerful you're going to be and the more influential you're going to be and the more joyful you are going to experience the world. It all comes down to your perspective. That's where we started this call. That's where I'll end this call. It's up to you whether you see the situation that's happening around you as good or bad. Ultimately, every situation can be good. And that doesn't mean having to sugarcoat it. It just means seeing the higher opportunity in each situation. It also means being accepting that it's not going to be comfortable to step through these experiences. It's not going to be comfortable for your ego. Not at all. Your ego wants to be right. Your ego wants to be appreciated. Your ego wants to be, etc., right? Have status. But do you want to live from your ego or do you want to live from your soul? These are fundamental questions we all have to answer for ourselves. For me, that's an hourly question, if not more often, right? when I find myself digging into something. What's important to me here? My egoic pleasure in this experience, right? Or my soul's desires? Do I want to operate from love, or do I want to operate from fear? These are fundamental questions that should be top of mind in every situation that you find yourself in, because we all have choice. And the more often we make choice from an empowered place, the more influential we're going to be over this world, especially over the world as we perceive it, which is all that really matters. Align with your truth, my friends. Align with your light. Choose to be light. Let go of the fight. Enjoy. Much love. Bye for now. Namaste. Apologies for the questions that I didn't answer. I'll see what I can do as I read back through them. Bye for now.